Good morning
Goeiemôre.
and welcome back to us. Yeah, this is Thursday morning. It is October. What's that Langenhoven say? The mooiste maand.
It's
It's
raining.
the wetste maand. So
Yeah.
it is wet outside, guys and girls. It's really wet. So stay dry this morning. We went down under. We went to the promised land, or is it the land of broken dreams? The interesting part was when we arrived there, the temperature was totally
I think if
whack.
someone doesn't know where we've been now.
Oh, should we say we went to the land of the what did I call it? The blue gum, land of the blue gum. We went to Aussie, Australia. Yeah, we popped down for a 2-week visit. We drove all the way from Brisbane. We rented a car, drove up to Cairns, and we drove back. That was a fault in its
A
own.
mistake.
A
Big
mistake.
mistake. But I'm glad we did it because he always wondered what it looked like.
Well, I actually saw it twice.
Yes. And that was now enough.
That was enough. A full 4,339 kilometers later.
How did the cat get
I
there?
don't know how the cat went because she left the door.
Yeah, it was quite an experience. I'm so glad we did it.
The one thing that we went down there, no, we're not trying to move to Australia. I want to put that out there totally. We're not trying to move to Australia. But I wanted to go and see what it is all about. I wanted to see what people see in Australia and why they would go to Australia. That was, for me, that was the one question. Why? Because people pack up their whole life, they come to New Zealand. Okay. Some people do have Australia as the end mark.
Yes.
But all the people we spoke to did not have Australia as the end mark, but they moved to Australia at the end of the day. So one group of people, they've lost their job in New Zealand and they couldn't find anything else. And by default, they could find something in Australia. So that was the one group that we spoke to in this period of time. Some of the others had different reasons. We'll touch the reasons as we go along. So, and then we arrived in Australia, in Brisbane. Got the car, got the shock. It was hot, really. What was something like 27?
Brisbane wasn't. Oh yes,
No,
Brisbane
but
was.
it was
hot.
27.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, come on. We come from 16. And not only the heat, the humidity. That was something that I forgot that you get in warmer climates. It was the humidity. And stayed a day or two in Brisbane, all those rounds, and then we started traveling up all the way to Cairns, which is a rather long track. Some days we drove for 8 kilometers.
8 kilometers.
I mean, 8 hours. Yeah, not 8 kilometers.
We drove. It took us 3 days to get there.
Yep.
And every day we drove between 6 and 8 hours.
Hours, yeah. And the thing is, for 2 of those 3 days, I want to say, all we saw was blue gums and dead kangaroos.
Yeah, there's not much in between.
Not much in between, no.
But that's what you have to do to get up there.
No, that is. That's just my personal experience, what I'm trying to tell.
We decided if we go again, we will fly directly.
I'll definitely go back to
to
Cairns.
Cairns. It is
I'll go back to Early Beach,
beautiful.
but I'll fly in this time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I'm glad we did it because
Oh, yeah.
otherwise we always
yeah,
wondered what it was
And I
like.
mean, if we just flew in, we would have missed all the people we saw in the middle.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
So
I would say that the turning point for me was very near to Bowen, when the landscape changed a bit.
Oh yes.
So from Bowen onwards, we got
it's a little bit more rainforest.
more rainforestry. You can really see it's getting wetter down there. The rest of the area, even though it's proximity to the coast, is really not far. We were never very, very far from the coast.
But it's dry.
It's dry. It's really dry, yeah. But also, we've got to remember they come out of the winter, summer rain season.
Yeah.
But going up above Bowen, above Early Beach, yeah, above that becomes really wet areas.
It's wet and it's really humid. I really struggled. I would walk down the street and the sweat would drip from my head when I buy my head
without
on.
doing a lot of
It is
exercise.
so humid. I
Yeah.
really struggled, but I had my little fan, and I'm glad we did it. It is absolutely beautiful. We had the most wonderful holiday,
And
and
we accidentally saw a lot of beautiful things.
yes,
Yeah.
it's really beautiful. And the Great Barrier Reef, it is spectacular.
It is. It is what they say it is. It is
Yeah.
beautiful. So,
It is really worth the trip.
there's a few things I can't complain about in Australia. One of them is the parts of nature that's beautiful is very beautiful. There's also, I won't say ugly parts, there's boring parts.
Yeah.
Very boring parts. If you drive 800 kilometers along Blue Gums and that's all you see, it can become boring. But some people like the Karoo as well.
Yes, that was what I want to say. Some people really like it.
For me, the Karoo was always beautiful for the first 3 minutes. Thereafter, it's the same.
I think that's why we love New Zealand so much, is because it's always
diversity. Yes, diversity.
But let me tell you a little bit about where we've been. In Cairns, we went there specifically to snorkel the Great Barrier Reef, which we did, and it was a stunning day. We really had a stunning day.
Let's put something out there. The boat trips to take you to the Great Barrier Reef, it's not cheap. You have to save a bit just to be able to do it, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting whatever company we used. I'm saying those that take you to the pontoon, because they built a pontoon in the middle of the ocean, and you go to the pontoon, they give you afternoon tea, coffee, and a full meal. We had a good meal down there. And then they give you all their gear to snorkel, and if you want to scuba, you can scuba from there. It's very commercial. Let's call it what it is. It's very commercial, but at the end of the day, it's well run. You get there, you know what you're going to do, you know where you can do it, and
it's a whole day excursion. So they pick you up at 8:15, and you're back at 4:30 or 5:30. So it is really worth it, and I'm so glad we did it. It's something that we've always wanted to do.
That was a bucket list for me, and I never knew how I'm going to tick that bucket list, but I have ticked it now. So whatever your poison, either snorkeling, scuba, or underwater scooters, or those type of things. They even got a semi-submersible boat down there. That's like a submarine, but just the top of the sticks out with glass panels that you can also view. If water is not your thing at all, you can get into that thing and go and.
Yeah, you don't see so much thing.
But at least let's say you're afraid of snorkeling and all the other things, so at least you can get out and see that.
Yeah.
So.
And then we went to Airlie Beach, which was also at the Whitsundays Islands. Absolutely beautiful.
You're still in Cairns. Tell them what else did we do in Cairns. What was good down there. I just want to lower this camera, but it looks like we're a bit out of sync here this morning. So in Cairns, we also went to the local aquarium. Now, aquariums is not a big thing in New Zealand, but that aquarium, I actually thought it's going to be like a New Zealand aquarium. And it was totally something different.
It compares with the one in Cape Town. It's a really beautiful aquarium.
And aquariums normally is only ocean fish. This one started off from the top of the river with all the mud crabs and all the weird fishes and the fishes that goes to sea. It actually gave me a total perspective, me being a fisherman, of what the fish are like in Australia. So that was a really good 2-3 hours spent down there. Well worth it. And then we normally did the tourist thing, go check the koalas and stuff. We just didn't touch them.
And then a very interesting thing, which we found in Cairns as well as in Airlie Beach, is you cannot swim in the ocean because there are crocodiles. So what they do is close to they don't really have beaches. It's more like I don't know,
like a mud stone flat thing.
But on the grass, I've got huge parks, public open community parks with swimming pools galore. It is huge swimming pools. Some of them look like ocean pools, as I've got a little bit of beach, and
they've got the lifeguards and all that everything stuff down there. So.
And anyone can swim swim there. And what is so wonderful, it's clean. There's a lot of people, but you don't feel like you're crowded. That was really something to see, and the vibe and the atmosphere was just
totally
next level.
Different.
We loved it. We will definitely go back there for a holiday.
Yeah, And the thing is, with Cairns being your gateway to the rainforest, we went to the rainforest one day. Oh my goodness, it was 37 degrees. I think humidity was about 200 million%. We got on a train down in Cairns, drove up the mountain to Kuranda.
Yes.
The town's name is Kuranda. Walked through this little town, but we only had 2 hours in the town, but we were sweaty. Oh my
we were wet
gosh.
after that.
That was terrible.
Sweat. It
So-
was, yeah. And then we came back with the
That wasn't the greatest experience for me walking through the town due to the humidity.
Yeah.
To be quite frank, just due to the
And
humidity.
we were a little bit disappointed because we went to the butterfly world
Yeah.
and the
Don't
world
go
of
to the
birds.
butterfly world. Don't go to the
It's
world
really
of
not
birds.
worth it. It's expensive and it's really not worth it.
That's what they call the golden tourist trap.
Mm,
I actually saw more
No.
butterflies outside than inside the butterfly
and
world.
it's small. It's just a little enclosure, so it takes you about
1.5
15
minutes.
minutes to walk through the whole thing, and it costs a lot of money. And it
Yes.
is so warm that you actually just want to get out of there.
It is.
Um,
And then we took from Kuranda, we took the gondola
mm,
all over the
rainforest.
That's about a good 13 kilometers of gondola. That was something totally different.
Beautiful, beautiful. There are a lot of things to do. It's a wonderful place to go for a holiday. It's really worth it. And then we accidentally drove to Port Douglas the one day.
Now, what I actually wanted to do is I thought I'll do a loop through the rainforest, and
We ended up there.
she wanted to go to what's that place? Palm Cove.
And we were looking for a beach where you
Yeah.
can actually swim.
And then I said, well, if I go through this thing, I come to a place called Port Douglas, which I didn't know what it was. And I thought from Port Douglas, I can drive all the way down to Cairns, back past Palm Cove.
Mm.
So I did this trip, and we arrived in Port Douglas. But wow, tell them about the water.
Stunning. And you can actually swim there. It's a very small beach. It's like Victoria Bay. It's just like this little, very small little beach. Lots of people on the beach, and we walked into the water, and you actually couldn't feel the difference between the outside and the inside of the water. It was so nice. It was really
very,
nice.
very hot.
Yeah. So next trip, we'll fly to Port Douglas, have a little holiday there, and then see what we do.
Or fly to Cairns if that's the nearest airport.
Yeah, we will definitely. We never thought that we would maybe live in Australia. It's not something that's in the back of our
No,
minds.
it's never been an option for me.
No, but every time we go, we would say to each other, would we, can we?
I was always
will
looking
we?
at it, why would I want to live in Australia? And if it's only for the bird life, because the bird life in Australia is something to die for. I'm being quite frank.
It is beautiful.
I had parrots, wild parrots coming to sit on the balcony, 5
Eating
of them at one
breakfast
day.
with you.
And geez, that things were actually full of crap. They
They
wanted choc chip cookies, nothing else. I actually went and bought some food for the parrots. No, they didn't want the
Just
food. They
turn around,
wanted
they wanted
choc chip
cookies.
cookies.
So then we visited a few friends, and the last day we were in near the Surfers Paradise. It's really beautiful, and we went up that tall building. I can't remember.
I don't know what the name of the building was, but you got to remember, Surfers Paradise is part of Brisbane.
Yes.
And in that area, half the population of the whole of New Zealand is living in that area. This is something that the small towns in Australia, I'm talking of the real small towns, are really, really small. They're very much smaller than the New Zealand towns. And I'm just talking that period that I drove, so I can't talk about the rest of Australia. But then your medium-sized towns are very much on par with the size of Tauranga.
Yeah.
Towns that I thought would be smaller, or that looked on the map as smaller. I mean, what was that place where we had the nice pies, where the army base was? But anyway, that was I thought, geez, it must be Townsville. I thought this is a small town. Even in Bundaberg, we went to Bundaberg as well. I thought it's a small town. That Bundaberg is actually a massive town.
It is big.
Yeah.
And they've got a lot of the same shops that we do in New Zealand. They've got a few different.
They've got the Kmart, the No Leavings, the Harvey Normans.
The other ones are the same as us. And if we talk a little bit about prices, the clothes and the stuff is on par with
Yeah.
what we pay in New
Yeah.
Zealand. And
I found some of the clothes, even with those no-name shops or the shops that I didn't know, the prices weren't that much cheaper.
no, it's not cheaper.
No.
They've got a huge variety.
They got a good variety. Yeah.
I would love to go shopping there. I couldn't because I could only take 20 kilograms, and I was.
Is that the hair blower of yours?
It
hair
is,
dryer.
yeah. For a woman, it is. You take a lot of things that you need, and it's heavy. But so the clothes are almost the same. Eating out is the same.
Eating out is either the same or more expensive.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is. It is mostly more expensive.
Buying groceries, the fruit are so much cheaper.
Cheap.
We had strawberries for $1.50 for a punnet, and pawpaws. We had a pawpaw for $3, and it was like this.
Yeah.
You don't get those sizes in New Zealand.
You could also buy bananas right next to the road, where they got the banana plantations.
We didn't know that the road that we drove up there from Bowen up is sugarcane plantations, and then banana plantations. So that is something that we learned. There are so many sugarcane
$2
factories.
a kg for banana. Eh?
Yeah,
$2.
Yeah. So the fruit is much more cheaper, and the vegetables are cheaper. The meat and all the other stuff is much the same.
I have to say something about Australian meat, and it's not only me; it's all the other people that live there as well. All the other South Africans. Oh my goodness! There's a fan at the back. All the other South Africans living in Australia are saying the same thing. The meat tastes totally different. I bought us some meat which is just made in the pan, nice steaks. Wasn't nice. To be quite frank, that beef wasn't nice.
Yeah, and all the people that we know that we visited there did say the same.
The meat we had at Nielsen then, that was quite nice. Good, yeah. But as I said, he bought that from the local butcher.
I'm just going to back myself a little.
Oh my goodness, here we go. That's what do they call us? Menopause.
You can call it.
All right, while we're on that, let's do the trip. Okay. Guys, we're giving away some money for somebody to go on a trip. We're doing this later, not today. All right, let's draw two people. Number 227. Let's run the generator again. Number 335. I've got this somewhere here. Number 227. There it goes. 335. 335 is Linnell Badenhorst. And the other one was 227, right? 227 is Wendy Smith. Wendy Smith.
We're laughing because our cat just activated
throw the cat out quickly.
She got on the massage chair and it went on, so it was just like sitting like that. Yeah. Okay, so congratulations, Wendy and Linnell.
So you're going into the draw. The draw is for $2,000. It's a travel voucher, and then we got a various amount of petrol vouchers as well that we want people to take a little bit of a break somewhere. So, yep, that is in short that. Okay, let's go back. From Cairns, we drove back all the way to Early Beach.
Yeah.
Early Beach is part of the Whitsundays. There we took a boat trip. Our days were a bit numbered there. I think we should have actually done about 3 or 4 days. No, it's about 4 or 5 days in that area just to get everything.
Yeah, but the thing is, every time you want to see something, you have to take a boat.
Yeah.
So, and it really gets expensive because in Early Beach it's the same. You can't swim in the ocean. Our bus driver actually said, if you want to die, get in the water.
Yeah.
So you have to take a boat to get to one of the islands where you can actually swim. We did that, and it was breathtakingly beautiful, and the water is so nice. The beach was beautiful.
So Early Beach has got the one photo that I think everybody in Australia, sadly I didn't put the photo on here, but everybody in Australia ever, or thinks about Australia, ever sees this photo, that one about the Whitsundays where that white sand and the beautiful river goes through. So, but I'll pop that later up.
It was beautiful.
It was really beautiful.
And then we visited some friends. We had some cook sisters from one of our friends that now live in Australia that used to bake.
So everybody who knew Ronelle from Tauranga, who used to bake cook sisters here, we had a lot of her cook sisters. I promise you, heck of a lot.
We visited them. They have been there now for 4 months, I think. She says that she's finding her feet now. It took her a while. She actually said that it was more difficult to immigrate to Australia from New Zealand than it was from South Africa. I think the second time it's just, you're just so over it.
Because you've done it once, so you've got an idea what's waiting for you. I mean, especially people that needs to pack up their whole life and so forth. So,
but they're well. And for everyone that's wondering about house prices and what it's like there, we gained a little bit of information. It depends on where you are. The further you go away from Brisbane and the big towns, the cheaper the houses become.
The house prices down in the smaller areas, and this, what I'm talking to about was about 6 hours drive from Brisbane. House prices down there, you could get a very decent new house for about 550,000.
Yeah,
that is with a rather decent amount or size of land included as well.
Yeah, and
Brisbane.
It's beautiful, and it's a very nice town that we were in Gladstone, and it's also not what you expected. I thought it's going to be the small little town,
but I thought small point, but it's the size of Tauranga.
And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Brisbane itself is expensive.
It's expensive. It's the same prices than you would pay in Tauranga.
Yeah. So
even for rentals,
rentals is quite expensive down there.
Yeah. So I think it depends on where you live. We haven't been to any other part of Australia. We still want to go visit.
So we can only talk about that area. Yeah. So we want to go and see the rest as well as time goes on. Not to move there, just to look there.
Things that are different is the petrol
price.
Less expensive. It's actually really
1.65 for petrol. 1.65.
Yeah, and we were lucky. Our rental car was a hybrid, so we really saved a lot.
Yeah, it gave me 4.5 kilometers or 4.5 liter per 100 kilometers. So
that made it really worth it. So
but it was small.
It was small, but it was big enough.
Small,
yeah. And
I felt like I was wearing the car after the first 8 hours.
The salaries are more, and it is bigger than.
But the tax is more.
The tax is more, but your benefit is more. Yeah. So there are a few things to consider. In some ways, it really makes sense. If that is your plan, it really makes sense. It depends on where you're going to live. Otherwise, you're going to spend so much money on your accommodation that it really wouldn't make a difference.
If I can give my personal unbiased opinion, point one, if you can get a 30 to a 40% increase in salary from where you are in New Zealand, if you do have a good salary in New Zealand, if you can get a 30 to 40% increase, go for it. If you want to get a very cheap house and you can get the salary increase going to a small town, do that, because you can get cheaper houses in the smaller towns. If you can stomach the city, and I'm talking 2.2 million people living in a small area, and traffic is hectic.
And it's it's not only in the city. It's not like it's only in Brisbane. All the highways
between all the suburbs is busy.
It is really busy. Yeah. It is really busy. So Yep, if that's your thing.
That's your thing, and you can get 30 to 40% increase as well in salary. Go to Brisbane. If you can afford a house in Tauranga, you can afford a house in Brisbane. I mean, quite frank.
Yeah, and you will have more money.
And they'll have more money. You'll pay a bit more tax, but at the end of the day, there'll be more money in your pocket. So,
yeah,
if that is your thing, I'm not saying pack everything up and go to Australia.
No.
Please
but
don't
I
do
can
that.
see how when you're really struggling in New Zealand and you get an opportunity to go to Australia, that you would take it.
But remember, the money has got to be 30 to 40% more. Otherwise,
it's going to be exactly the same. You're going to be
struggle
in
here, you're
exactly
going to
the
struggle
same
there. I mean,
situation.
quite frank.
Yeah.
So.
And the weather, a lot of people go to the, Australia because the weather is better. Yes, it is nice and warm. For me, it is a little bit too warm.
We're just talking with the area between Brisbane.
Yes, I know people say if you go to Melbourne, it's really cold. We'll visit them sometime. But where we were, I would not be able to live.
I just think summers there will be.
We visited other friends of us, and they say that in New Zealand, they went camping and bushwalking so much. It was like the part-time activities. That's what they did, and now they can't do it because of the heat. So they don't go camping.
And the snakes. Don't stuff around. Australia is a land of snakes. I don't say be paranoid, afraid, but we saw some massive things.
So they miss the camping and they miss the bushwalking with their dogs, because they say in Australia you can't take your dogs everywhere. There are certain places that you can take them. You can't take them anywhere else. And it is so warm that if you go camping, they sit in their car just to get some aircon.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not the way that we want to do it.
There's a few questions here. Bridget Seraphimides, sorry, I couldn't pronounce that correctly.
Yeah.
No, we are still living in New Zealand. We're living in Tauranga. We are going to stay living in Tauranga. I promise you that.
I came across quite a few people accidentally when we were sitting in a restaurant and we got up. The one lady said, "Are you from South Africa?" And they went straight to Australia. So they are very happy. They live in Townsville. That is where we had. Was it Townsville?
No, it was other small. Was the other small one?
I can't remember. But anyway, she says they very. It was in Bundaberg.
Could be Bundaberg. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Very happy there. We met someone in. Where did we meet the other people? But the people that I met that went straight to Australia, they're very happy. And I can see that because the resemblance between Australia and South Africa
is very much.
It's much of the same. I always say, if you put me in Australia, you close my eyes and you put me in Australia and I open my eyes, I would think that I'm in South Africa.
Yeah, it is.
In that part of Australia. Not in the rainforest. It's much like Durban, the heat, the plantations. So hot.
If you are used to let's say Durban, South Africa, I still think it's hotter than in Durban.
Oh, it is.
I still think it's way hotter than in Durban.
We've been in Durban in February, and this was much worse.
Yeah, but if you, I just see somebody saying too many poisoners. I think it's makes me get the poisonous stuff in Australia. It is so, but if you are safe, I mean, if you don't go into the bush a lot, don't do this, don't do this. Yeah, I found a few things, and I'm not trying to put a black mark through Australia now. While we were driving, we had to listen to the radio because I was tired of playing other songs. So we listened to the radio. So we were tuning into the radio the whole time, and we spent hours and hours in the car. They have, medically wise, it looks the same problems as New Zealand has got. They don't have staff. They don't have enough doctors. They don't have enough nurses.
They complain about the ER. They complain about the waiting list for seeing specialists. So it is very much the same.
And there was a major concern on basically every radio station we tuned into. So
one thing that I can say about Australia, and I was actually shocked in a very good way. We were listening to some, I don't know, it was a conversation that they had in Parliament, and it was the opening of the Parliament. And they opened Parliament with the, what's die onze Vader in Engels? the Onze Vader that opened with that prayer. I couldn't believe it. It was just
something you don't hear in South Africa or in New Zealand.
You don't get it anywhere else.
It was quite
so that was, it was hard.
You got to remember what your teacher told you in grade 2.
What?
At 7:30, we're going to say goodbye. It's not time to say goodbye. Thanks for listening to us this morning. Our opinions is just based on the area that we were in. And yeah, I can't say any more about the rest of the area. I know Vanita said that Melbourne is colder and so forth and so forth. And by the way, for next week, Vanita is on the air with me regarding immigration. So, and she just says that each state in Australia is different though, and run different. I fully agree. And they've even got different times. Some of those states are 2 hours behind the rest.
So, yeah, we can only talk about Queensland because that's all that we
I have to say, if you've never been in Australia, Australia is a massive country. It's way bigger than what you can think of, to be quite frank.
Yeah.
So
it takes you longer to fly to one of the other states
than to fly from New Zealand to
Australia.
All right. Goodbye, you all. See
Have
you.
A good weekend.
Have a good time.
I hope the rain stops a little bit.
Because we need to go fishing urgently. See ya. Bye.